So, tell me this, because tell me a little bit about your film, what it's about, and exactly what you did on the film.
Um, I wrote, directed, and edited Execution. Execution is really simply came out of a desire to see, after a lifetime of just watching women raped, slaughtered, tortured, in films and in the news and everywhere, just for the mere reason that they're women, and they are, prey to predatory, instincts in certain people in society. And it's just like just a growing desire to to at least see revenge, at least wash my eyes with images of revenge, because it's not really practical in real life, to go out and really do this. Like, it's so it became like a fantastical, I just wanted to watch it, and indulge in that idea, and also put it out there, and also have these images of on the screen, that sort of monotony of men being, these people being killed, to sort of echo the monotony of women being killed, so many. I won't get into, I mean, that's a whole other big subject, like, I mean, the culture is dealing with that in so many ways right now.
Yeah.
And just the way because I come from painting, the way I think about film right now, this is only my second film, so I consider this like my early career in film, is very much drawn from that experience, where it deals with stills and deals with composition, and is very flat. I mean, if you'll notice, pretty much all the movement is across the screen from side to side. There's no motion in depth, with very little interest in, hold on,
Bless you.
has very little interest in the illusion of depth and moving within depth right now. And that is actually, I think, is like a key element in horror films, that immersion, like you're in there, you're moving in, moving out, so it's very much like a picture that keeps changing, and eventually we get to see in that one extended image a lot of images. So basically, if I were to paint this, it would be like a series, or a graphic novel, and being the sort of having sort of mind where I like to mix humor with pretty much everything that I do. I can't get like really dead serious about anything. So there's a lot of that in there too. And what else is there in that salad? There's the bond between the women is very interesting to me. What women can be like when they work together, the kind of almost telepathic energy that can happen, when a bunch of women are working together. I've seen that, I've experienced that with my sisters and my mom and other women friends, when we're moving around doing something, we're so groomed, or maybe even genetically, programmed to be aware of other people and what they're thinking, feeling, that we kind of read each other very, very well, and a lot of stuff can happen without a conversation. So I wanted to show that. I had actually had the actors come to my place and cook dinner together without saying a word to each other, just to sort of foster that kind of bond between them. And that was fun. And a lot of other exercises that we did to get them to move almost as one. So as they're killing the men, they are very much a sort of this renegade troop that has their own interior balance. I mean, they're all so different, and they really don't really match. And there's so many ways that this whole thing could fall apart, you know. But they still bond and they take care of each other and they move along together. So those are just a few things about what the film is.
Well, that's one of the aspects of the film I liked. I like the fact that you have a huge cast of females, female characters coming in and out of the shots, and they're doing multiple different things, and they're all completely different from one another. And then you have some that are doing something in the background versus some doing something in the foreground. And of course, you have the torturing the men aspect of it. But the women characters are helping each other and consoling each other at different points in the story, and they go out of the frame and they come back in the frame. That's one of the elements that I really liked about the film, is because you're watching this, and even though you're watching essentially a execution of men characters, it's really about the women characters. And sometimes you'll see it'll be a 1-on-2 with two of the women, and you'll see something else going on in the background or in the foreground, and then one of those characters will move to another character. And so you're really watching these women go from like this, and as they start off in the little bus, and they're all one huge group, so that, you know, they're all helping each other, but you're seeing this really surreal type of thing going on. I really like that about the film. It was very visually stunning in that regards, because the camera moves from side to side, but it doesn't move that often, so you don't get distracted. You're too busy watching everyone that's in it.
Actually never moves at all. It's a stationary camera.
Yeah, I think it only moves does it move just at the beginning and the end when they're outside. I'm trying to remember everything. I think that's
the camera never moves. There's I think I may have done a pan that I animated.
Oh.
And and actually my cinematographer, when she sat down with me to talk about what I need for the film, I was like, well, I basically want you to just put your damn camera there and just leave it, you know, just don't let it shake, move, or anything, you know. And I think she was a little bit, you know, underwhelmed with that challenge, you know. But she was awesome. She was Jui Peng is her name, and she was an awesome cinematographer, and she got me the perfect flat space that I needed. The way she lit everything evenly, you know, so they would be like these splotches of color without like all sorts of dramatic shadows and things like that. Also something which is essential in horror films, so none of that is there. But yeah, what you mentioned about the film being about the women, not about the men, that was another challenge for me to, you know, once to make it not let the men steal the show from the women, you know.
Yeah.
That was very hard to do. I eventually used a certain device there, which, you know, if people watch the film, they'll see what I ended up doing to sort of get the men out of the picture and have them just be like objects, you know, the same way women are often, you know, just tropes in a film, you know, they're just, so I really needed to reverse that, and to bring these women to the forefront. So yeah, I hope that was successful.
Yeah, well, using the word objects to refer to the men is actually a perfect word for them in the way they're used in the film. And now that we're talking, I get the theme now about how you're relating the female characters to why they're doing what they're doing to men, and then of course the ideal that, like you said, women in past and in previous films have always been an object used in a lot of different films, and now you've reversed it, and hopefully the audiences will be able to get it without thinking it's too abstract, because that actually is what makes the film interesting, is the a lot of the abstract, I don't know if abstract is the right word, but the unconventional ways in which the women act and respond to each other and what's going on around them.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I think as far as experimental films go, execution is, you know, sometimes you think experimental, you think it's all going to be like, you know, just stuff not congealing, not being, you know, cohesive, and floating around and a little dreamy. But execution is everything. But it's very concrete, and what you see is what you get, and it's I don't think it's I think if things are lost on the viewer, like things that I did, that's fine. If they can get something else out of the film, there's a lot of different levels. My husband keeps going back at me like about how it's a film about sandwiches, and so yeah,
I forgot about that. You're
too.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can see that. Yeah, you know what? That your film actually does warrant a second viewing to kind of enjoy some of the other aspects. Because when I put your film in, I don't ever read what the films are about before I watch them. I kind of just like to go on the journey, knowing absolutely nothing except for probably seeing the poster. So your poster, uh, when I first saw it, it didn't really strike me until after I'd seen the film. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so now I know with your artistic background why the poster is the way it is, and it makes much more sense to me now. Like I said.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest poster in the world. It went through a few different versions. Every time I see it, I want to change it, but at a certain point, I just stopped changing it. Yeah, I mean, if I were to do it again, I would make the poster different. But yeah, it doesn't give away what the film is. It's more of like a what would you call it? Like a symbol, like a logo. Like I was making a logo for the film, or
I like
that. But
so,
I didn't want the personalities. I didn't want to put like images that would show the actual women's personalities, because I wanted it to be like a generality, like an endless chain of women, or I wanted it to refer to all women, It didn't want to be like, oh, this is a one-time story that maybe happened in the early 70s and will never happen again. My idea was like girls, just check this out, let's do this. Let's make films like this, like a lot, This is not just a one-time, thing. It's really, I mean, in my mind, I don't know if it's going to function that way, but in my mind, it's a bit of like an offering, hopefully, of some kind of, I hope women enjoy it and get this sort of tummy giggle that I do out of, I mean, I've watched it so many times, I can't stand it anymore. But every time I get to the actual executions, particularly the ones where the male actors were really good, I just grin. I just feel so good, and I got a response from other women who were like, just having a good time, just sort of cruising on it, not because they're just killing people, but just like these are the guys that all your life you've wanted to, kill, so hopefully other women, get that. I really hope that there's more films like that, that are geared towards women and women's desire to see revenge, and women's desire to see the opposite of what is the standard fare, in most films. I also needed to, a lot of revenge films that are out there are very sort of personal and passionate, and they seem like, oh, this is like some crazy special story about, this woman who, got revenge, and when the male actors there, they take up like at least 50% of the attention of the view. I wanted it to be completely, I didn't want that, because that makes that kind of revenge seem like like this freak thing that happened, you know. I want it to seem pretty mundane, like these women are doing it every day, you know.
Yeah.
Like this is an idea for, you know, this is the way to go. Let's just keep this going, you know. Just stay with me, stay with this rhythm, you know, because that's all it is. It's like this beat, you know. The guy comes in, they kill him, make a sandwich. He goes out. The guy comes in, they kill him, make a sandwich, and that's it, beginning to end, you know. That's really all it is. It's like an echoing beat, you know.
I actually didn't think of it that way, but you are absolutely correct. I have to, yeah, like I said, I'll have to watch it again now that after we're speaking, so I can rewatch it with a new perspective. So I didn't think
Yeah,
about it, but you're right.
there's no plot there, really. There's a premise, but no plot.
Well, that's what makes watching experimental films so interesting. You know, um, your film is not something that's necessarily plot driven. It's thematically driven, so that hopefully the repetition from the actions of the girls will actually drive the point across to the people who probably need it the most, I guess would be the best word to say. But by focusing strictly on the females characters, because there's lots of different characters there, and not focusing on the male characters, they're just the object of the torture and the death and that type of thing. I think you're right in that it doesn't allow the audience's attention to be pulled towards the male aspect of the male characters, like a lot of the revenge stories do. A lot of revenge stories, like you said, will focus, let's say, 50% on the man who causes the torture towards the women, and then 50% of the women getting her revenge on the male. Yours is 98% from the female's perspective, 2% from the male. So you don't really care who the male is. They're an object of these women's revenge. They're just an object. They just come in, say their name, kill them, bring in the next one.
Yeah.
And then you have this. I didn't think about the beat that I have to rewatch it now. Like, oh yeah, now I have to rewatch it for stuff like that now to get an even deeper understanding of it when I'm adding in, you know, because I can't think offhand about the music. For some reason, I can't. I've watched too many films. I can't think of the music. I remember all the visuals, but not the music for some reason.
Well, there really isn't any. There's one song by the singer Rev Love that is gorgeous, and I picked it apart a little bit and used separated some of the tracks to get a little bit of humming, and then at the end the whole song plays during the whole end sequence, but in the middle there's no music.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to remember. Like, I don't recall the music for some reason. That would be why.
Yeah. I mean, her song is awesome. It's coming out actually next month officially. So
nice.
I'm excited about that. I'm gonna do a little video of her and throw it on Instagram. Yeah.
Nice. So, how long did it take to make this film? Because it's a long film. It's not like a short. It's a long film, and your actors must have had to know they're blocking really well.
Blocking was a big thing. It was almost choreography, and that's one of the things we started rehearsing from the beginning, way before they even had a script, you know. Before they knew what they were saying, I taught them to move in space, you know, without bumping into each other. And so we met for over about 2 months or 3 months, was it every Sunday, just to prepare. You know, I put them through this whole rigorous program that I planned, and halfway through I gave them the script, and then we rehearsed, and then there was all the to do with, you know, getting the set and getting all that, which was, you know, as towards the closer you get to the actual production, everything just becomes just crazier and almost unpleasant, because, you know, it's hard, you know, you're not getting everything you need, and it's compromising left and right, you know. But the total shoot was 4 days. One day we shot in my apartment, just a certain close-up things, you know, the sandwich making, the girls in the van, and then the rest was in the classroom of my kids' old elementary school in their science room. My kids thought it was hysterical, but that was the only place where I could, you know, where people would give me the time of day, you know, talk to me about like maybe using a classroom. You know, it is very hard to get, you know, a place in New York City, you know, without having to pay huge amounts of money. So with
Permits and
school,
everything else.
I donated to the PTA, and you know, and that was that.
Okay, okay. So, how long did well, I guess with all the visual effects, how long did it take you? Did you add those yourself, or how long did it take?
Yeah, I did it myself. It was torment. It took me, I want to say, it took me about 2 years.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
it took me a long time because I had to, you know, I did it myself. I'm working on other projects. I had to sort of teach myself After Effects, you know, which was really just slow and, you know, difficult process to do some of it. And I didn't need it to be, I didn't need the production value to be perfect. I was perfectly fine with it being a little glitchy and sort of, you know, what's the word? Underground, homemade. I don't know. I was fine with that. You know, my effects being not perfect, because the film shows as if the women themselves made it in a way.
Hmm.
So the whole thing is not. I mean, the strength of the film, if there is any, it would not be because of production value. You know, even though everybody who worked on it, you know, the cinematography was perfect, but there's so much work to do on it in post. A lot of it because I didn't have money to shoot for more days and to actually shoot things going on in the van. I had the van for a few hours, you know, or it was rough. So a lot of it I made up for in the edit. I think it took me a year and a half, really. Yeah, about a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, but it's actually quite funny because one of the other films that filmmakers I was talking to yesterday also you was learning After Effects and told me that it took him 2 years to complete all his as well. So that seems to be uh, a very common thing with a lot of people learning After Effects, which
Yeah.
is, I mean, you're ahead of me. I've been doing films for years and I still haven't gotten up the courage to start using After Effects yet.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Oh
Really.
my God.
It's such a, you know, I'm not going to
Yeah.
use the word I was going to use, but
Well, I write, produce, and direct, and I was like, oh man, I really don't want to get into After Effects. Let me just do something that doesn't require it. But for your film, it actually adds, and it's the it may look kitschy, but that's actually one of the assets because it makes the film almost campy without it being camp, because of the seriousness of the theme. And then of course, yeah, the way in which all your female characters are reacting to each other and to what's going on. Some of them are completely oblivious; they don't care. It's just, like I said, one more man being, executed. It's a list. She has a list that, who is this? Make sure we're, executing the right person. Or, when they get ran over by the van at the end.
he gives away the end. Okay.
So I think the way in which you did all your effects actually is beneficial to the type of story you're trying to tell. Because if you try to tell it too realistic, I think it actually would take away from the overall film, and audiences might be, instead of thinking, oh, that's odd but crazy and strange at the same time. I get what they're going for. They'll be more like, oh my god, that's gross. That's oh
It would have been too much. It would have been too heavy to digest. You know, this way it was flattened. You know, if it was too realistic, you wouldn't get the rhythm. You know, you wouldn't get the the composition. I mean, I like to think that it reads a little bit more like a graphic novel, you know, where you're so used to reading flat space and uh, words, you know, in the picture, because of course there's the speech bubbles there and all that. Um, so yeah, I hope, you know, I wanted to go down easy, you know,
Hmm.
at the same time that the subject is serious. I wanted it to be very digestible and, you know, hopefully entertaining. So yeah, yeah, I didn't want to go realistic with this one. I knew from the beginning, you know, when I told the cinematographer no shadows, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. 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 I do. Yeah. Okay. So, bringing in something else. Was it difficult to cast this, or work with all these actors, and during your rehearsal process? Because, like I said, you have a lot of actors in certain scenes. And I'm like, okay, and they're all doing something that's
You're ask,
pertinent but
you're asking me
different.
about the process?
Yeah.
Well, there
How's
were
that?
it was too many actors. I mean, I went from the first film I made, there was like an actor and a half because there was just a woman and the body of a man. You never see his face. So, and then I went from that to 8 women plus, I don't know, 8 or 9 men. What is that, like 16, you know? So it was hard to make. It was like herding cats a little bit, you know? Um, I did meticulous work with the women. I got them into this rhythm meeting every Sunday. I got them close to each other. I would have worked differently if I was to do it again. My focus on the rehearsals, in hindsight, I could have focused on other things, you know. I'm, I think a lot of my, I mean, I'm very interested in actors. I literally fall in love with every single actor that you know, I'm sure you know the experience. You cast them and you're in love, you know, you just like, um, and I'm very interested in their psychological process. I really want to support it. I really want to get the best out of each one of them. And it's a relationship that I read about. I want to be like a good director to actors. And I hope that my next film, um, I'll be even, you know, hopefully get more, you know. And the next film I'm going to work on is, I keep like whacking myself on the head because again, it's tons of characters, you know, it's like a Robert Altman film, you know, like, and I keep telling myself, no, 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 you know, don't do that. It's a headache, you know. Um, but I think if you cast very carefully and you check a lot of things with the actors, particularly, are you really going to be in town for the production, you know, or do you really don't have any scheduling conflicts, you know, and you get recommendations are so
Mhm.
important when you get reference numbers from the actors. They are so important. I can't like emphasize that enough, you know, because the actor may seem perfect and they may nail the you know, audition, but then the reference people that they gave you, maybe they don't answer your call or email. Big, you know, giveaway right there. Or their response is very cool, you know. And there's because when people give references, they're not like, they don't want, like, I give references and I don't want to like say, oh, this person, I can't recommend them, but I went by the references a lot, and that was, and I didn't heed my own advice with one actor, with two, you know. No, it was one actor actually, and after like two rehearsals, she backed out of the project. The
Mhm.
one actor where the references weren't getting back to me. Um, and so I think those kind of things, even like if you're a good director and you have good intuition, you work well with actors, you have to vet all these people because you're putting in so much money and work and time and your soul and your heart into this, and you just want to make sure that you're working with, you know, team players, you know, clear thinking people who know what they're getting into, who can be can lose sight of the world while they're acting, but once they're not acting, they have their schedules organized, and they know their stuff, and they're functional. They're very functional people. So I came away with this production with like some amazing actors that I can't wait to use again. So
On your next project that will have 25 to 30 female characters and another 10 men. So yeah, it'll be a very big project.
yeah, I mean, my thought was, my idea was the next project I do, first thing I shoot with every single actor is like a death scene where they die, so that if they give me trouble in the middle of the production, like if they're become impossible to work with, or they have something come up that they have to go away or something, that I have this scene that takes them out of the film, so I don't have to worry about that. I swear, I mean, it's heartbreaking when an actor walks out on you.
Oh,
It's they don't know what they're doing to you. They just don't know, until they make their own film and that happens to them.
yeah, yeah. I've had to stop production on a film because my actor was not reliable. I had to shoot everything around him. I got around to shooting his stuff. He he fell apart. I had to shut the whole production down. I know how that is. I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's incredibly destructive.
yeah.
It saps the blood of the production. It just like, yeah.
So, are you going to be your next project? Is it going to be another experimental film, or is it going to be a different genre, or what do you know?
Well, I think I don't choose to do experimental films. It's just when I finish with them, that's what they tell me they are. I'm in a film collective, and when I bring my films to workshop them, people are always suggesting to me to put them in galleries, or museum spaces or something. So I get it. This film is weird and it's experimental. So to me, they're not, because they're the only thing I can make, you know.
Interesting.
So yeah, it will probably be experimental, but I think I'm gonna riff off narrative, like plot a little more, so there's some kind of suspense going on, some, just any murder, whatever, suspense, revenge, betrayal, who knows what. But I think again, my focus will be very, very, very visual, and very much to do with exploring what cinematic compositions are, what they do, I just want to sort of move around, mess around a little more, and get more comfortable with this new medium. So push boundaries, see, got to get the money together first, as you know.
So, I don't know why I didn't ask this earlier. So, but I have to know I mean, do you have any like actual filmmaking background, or are you strictly an artist who decided to do a film? How did you get into this?
So this is the progression. I was a painter, and then I started painting in series, like doing these sort of narrative things where the characters would appear in many drawings, and then I was like, start getting into graphic novels, the alternative graphic novel scene, where there's amazing art going on right now, really. I mean, it's the renaissance, right now of, graphic novels and sequential visual storytelling. And then I was like, I think I'm sort of bridging here, because I think I want to maybe, make film. But then I was like, you can't just make film. You don't know how to make a film. So why don't you first photograph a story and make a graphic novel that's out of photograph? So it's like half comic, half film, So I did that 10 years ago. I shot a project called Isness. It's like almost 1,000-page graphic novel that I am still working on, all the time. It's insane. But after I did that project, I applied to this film collective. And once I was there, after a few years, I made a music video, and then I made my first film, because they were like, they took me on without questioning the fact that I'd never shot a moving image. They were kind of cool with me, you know. I mean, I shot like 40,000, you know, still sequential still. So maybe they figured I could maybe shoot a film too. But they've been my film school, really. I mean, just hanging with these people and the encouragement and learning from them. You know, they say words that I didn't know, like they were like picture lock, picture lock. I was like, I'm not gonna ask what that is, you know. I knew, you know, like a lot of terms. I would come and help people with their production so I could learn things, you know. Be like, oh, I'll help you, you know, I'll help you, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, so this is how it's done, you know. Or when I shot my first film, the cinematographer was trying to put the headphones on me, you know, so I could, I don't know, I was like, no, what are you doing? You know, so they humored me. They're cool. Brooklyn Filmmakers Collective. Check them out. They're awesome.
Well, every filmmaker I speak with has a different background on how they got into this industry. And that's one of the great things about indie filmmakers is that there is no one way that each of us gets into the industry. Actually, most of the people I've spoken to in the last couple of days, I think one had actually went to the film school. The other one, I had one that was a lawyer first. He said, you know what? I have a passion in telling stories visually. I'm going to be a filmmaker. You're like the third artist I've actually interviewed in regards to your background came from, you know, painting and art, and then it progressed to film. So that's kind of a new thing that I've been, new thing for me to be talking to filmmakers that came from that background. So it's very interesting for me, you know, because, you know, it's not something I hear all the time.
The floodgates have opened. Anybody can make a film now, not just like, you know, white, middle class, privileged men, you know, so all voices can be heard in the moving image. So I think it's a great time, you know, and people can jump on, you know, jump on it and start making films coming out of any walk of life, you know, and it's good.
That's
excellent.
That's excellent. So any final words that you would like to tell the audience about your film or about yourself, anything like that?
Ooh, I would just say, you know, enjoy the film. If you don't enjoy it, just walk out, you know, it's cool, you know, and follow me. I'm hoping to make some really cool stuff down the line, you know, push more boundaries, and yeah.
Well, we definitely look forward to seeing whatever project you come up with next. So by all means, if it's experimental, make sure to drop us a line, because you know, we're hoping to be around in 3 years. You know, all the special effects and After Effects. You may, you know, it may take you a little bit long to make it, but it's okay. We'll still be around.
How long it'll take? Yeah.
I was one of the other people I've interviewed. He said he took 5 years to get his movie finished. So I was like, hey, it's different for everybody. We don't all have a huge budget. It takes time. It takes a lot of time, especially if you are writing, producing, directing, editing, doing the special effects. It takes time. And all I say is, don't rush it. Your film will be done when it is done.
Yeah.
And when it is,
paying the bills, you know, with your day job at the same time, you know, having a life or raising kids or whatever it is that you do in the real world. Yeah.
Yep. So, well, I want to thank you for doing this interview with us. And like I said, I want to say, make sure to drop us a line on your film in regards to where it goes from here and whatever you do after this. Okay. And we wish you nothing but the luck. And your film being at lots of film festivals in the future.